apologize for not having a video in a long time, if anybody is keeping track of that thing, but I injured the tip of my finger and it made, I was impossible to clean anything, and I did do some writing, but that was about it for that. But it seems to be better now. I picked this up for $2, and obviously, for those who know what it is a folding camping stove designed to take Sterno cans. This particular one, because it took my attention because it's huge, it's comparatively, and I did some research on it. Now this is the one I bought recently. I don't know, it's well under $10, I think, but the design is exactly the same. It's put out by the Coughlin line, and there's, you know, other ones online. I think that they bought this pattern, or they have the rights to this design from Sterno. They're probably, if you, I don't know, I'll trace them back, probably the same company. But this is the newer one, which has, it's taller, it has a bigger windscreen, and it does take a Sterno can. I'm not sure if they still make different sizes. I will research that. But this is the standard one for chafing dishes and such. But I use this with my alcohol stove, which fits in there perfectly, and it has the ring, the dimmer ring, the ring, and I like the alcohol stove better than the Sterno. I think I've just used this so much that it just fits in here perfectly, and I don't know, it's by design, but I do love this. So that one got my attention. I picked it up for $2, saying, "Oh, what is that?" And it's obviously, it's got the black japanned enamel. It has lots of rust on it. I wiped it down. It was just dusty, and it goes together in a slightly different fashion. That's the other ideal thing about it being 8 inches square. It'll hold much bigger pans. And this one goes in here, and it has a little lever to keep it from collapsing. And then it has that windscreen in the back there. And as I said, I think that, yeah, the other Sterno cans were more like tuna cans, so maybe a cat food or a tuna can alcohol stove would fit in here nicely. My stove fits in here nicely. I haven't had the best part. It does have some rust. Because it is enameled, I am not going to derust this in a soak, because as I've discovered before, the soak will take off the original enamel. And I'm not going to do too much about the rusting, because as I've discovered with mine, almost any paint will burn off, and they all look like this. Every bloody one of them looks like that. So I may just take the rust off with a little WD-40 mineral oil and then leave it alone, because it's not rusted through. As long as it doesn't continue to rust, it will stay preserved. And now I'm at the best part. The front of this has a brass plate, and I'd never seen one with a brass plate, because basically the only ones anybody ever got were similar to the new one. The brass plate says, I'll put a photograph, Sterno Canned Heat Kitchenette number 4041 for use with Sterno Canned Heat number 4006. Patent applied for, S. Sterno and Company Incorporated, New York, New York. Which allowed me to date it. The only adverts I can find for this were from 1918, 1917. Now, they probably continued to make this past that date, I mean, until they redesigned it. So I don't know exactly how old it is, but I've never seen one with brass plates. I only saw 3 online, and they had been, you know, and those were past sales. I did, like I said, I found the advert, and the advert featured the double, which is the 4002. And I'll post a picture of the advert. I love the advert, because they had this Freak Sterno week where they they were trying to conquer the market. Their Sterno, as Sterno had started with tea sets with the chafe, has the word for the table side heating elements for all kinds of things, and they were plated in the 1800s, and then they got into the whole camping thing, and I think the war had something to do with it. So this is like exploded in World War I. So what I'm going to do today, since I'm not doing a whole lot with the patina, I love this thing and I will not sell it. It tickles me so much. I am going to clean the brass plate. I think what I might have to do first is, if I start rubbing things, I'll fast forward, is clean it enough to tape around it. We're back. It's not completely dry, but I am just so pleased with what the Chromax did. Didn't touch the enameling at all. I got most of the rust down to bare metal, with very little scrubbing. I did wash it off because it tends to gather in the corners. Not that it was a bad thing, but as long as this dries quickly. I don't know if this has never been used or put away. It just is really great shape for something that's 100 years old. I'm assuming that the 1917-1818 date is correct. And it says patent applied for. If they'd gotten the patent, it would have a patent number. So this was produced in that little period between applying for the patent and actually getting it. So what we're going to do, I don't know if you can see from that angle, I'll take a couple of there we go. I can actually read it without my glasses now. Can't see the flame, but I can see it in the sunlight. There we go. So I'm going to spend 3 minutes kitchen water boil. While it's still cool enough to bring over. That's 3.5 minutes. I think that is plenty warm enough to make tea. I know. Forgive the tea bag.